Hi there. It is almost the end of July here, and I am going to harvest a few things. I'm going to harvest a few things, and I'm going to plant a few things for a fall garden. So first off, harvesting. Let me turn you around. All right, so I had some green bean plants here that I had planted a few months ago at the appropriate time in the late spring, early summer, and I had kind of been ignoring them. Some of them looked a little, so what I've done, a lot of them had green beans on them, so I've picked off everything that looked pretty good. I've torn out a couple of the plants. I've kept a little bit of the plant material here, and I'm going to kind of just lay that over top of where I'm going to plant some seeds. I'll tell you about those in a minute. I'm harvesting cucumbers. You can see there's one ready there, another one over there, several here. So I think we're going to be making refrigerator pickles today. And then I'm harvesting the carrots that are here, that were in between where I had planted onions. So basically, to harvest green beans, you just literally pull the bean. Let's see if I left one on here. So here's a little one. Here's a good one. So you basically just take the green bean and literally pop it off the plant like that. So no big deal for harvesting there. None of these are hard to harvest. For the cucumber, same kind of thing, although sometimes it may not want to release from the vine. I usually just go like that, where I push with 2 fingers and pull with my hand and it pops right off. If not, you may need to get your clippers to get them all the way off. And then for carrots, you pretty much just pull them out of the ground. Now, one thing that is helpful with carrots, pardon my sniffles, summer allergies, sometimes the ground might be a little bit hard, might be a little difficult to get the carrot to release. If it's too difficult, like here, I'm going to have to go get a little trowel and dig around. Let's see, I have something else. Let me see if I can just loosen up the dirt. It's best if you can get it to wiggle out. Now, I have not watered here in a few days, although we did get some rain. It's better if your soil is a little dry, because that will aid in if you want to try to store your carrots, if they're not real wet. Oh, there we go. That little snick, click when it releases. And then just gently brush off any clumps of wet dirt. And then I'm going to try a method I saw on More Than Farmers. They are also in Ohio. And basically what she said is that's about as clean. You just get them as clean as you can, gently getting off any dirt. And then she puts them in like plastic grocery bags and kind of ties them off, and then tapes the place where she's tied them to kind of seal them up, and then puts them in the refrigerator. And she says that she gets, I don't know, a lot of pounds. Go find them on YouTube, More Than Farmers. Like enough to feed her family all through the winter. And they stay pretty decent. They don't get too bad. She said there will be a little bit of condensation that will form, and that's okay, at the top of the bag. So we're going to see. I'm going to try it. So we're going to harvest those. Now, one thing you do want to make sure is that any carrot that has like a blemish or an open like spot like this one, I probably would not try to store that way. I'll just put that in my refrigerator and try to use it up in the next few weeks. And that's pretty much it. Let's see if I can get one to come out. See, oh, this dirt is pretty hard. The first couple came out pretty easy, so I'm just kind of wiggling it. Oh, okay. Let's see if I come back here. Yeah, this soil has gotten very stiff. Oh, there's one. So just a little wiggle and then a little click, and the roots release, and there you go. These, I think, are Danvers 126 half long, so they're not super long carrots. I don't know if that's all of the varieties, but basically that's it. Just pull it out. I snap off the greens. I don't eat those. Some people do. And that's it. And then I'm going to try to store them. Let's try down at this end and see if there's a different kind. I can't remember. Oh, that one came out a lot easier. That looks kind of like the same. So it's either a different variety that looks the same or it's the same thing. So that's it for the carrots, cucumbers, and green beans. And then what I'm going to be planting, and I'll be putting things here and here. I'm going to leave a few of these green beans, and obviously I'm leaving the cucumber plants. They're still producing. Is carrots. So I'm going to replant some Danvers Hopalong. The carrots are going to go over here so that it's in a slightly different spot, just to try to minimize pests that found these. Maybe if I put something over there, they won't be finding them quite as quick. So I've got a couple different companies, Danvers Hopalong, they're all the same. These were a free seed that I got from Baker Creek a few years ago, and if I recall, they were a good carrot as well. Very similar to the Hopalong. For the green beans, I'm going to do French fillet. And so the green beans and these other things are going to go here where the carrots were. So I'm going to plant a few more green bean plants. I like French fillet because I like, sauteing them. I'm going to grow a little bit of a few lettuces. So arugula slow bolt is sort of like a lettuce to me. I'm going to intersperse some teddy dill. It's a dill that doesn't get as tall. It helps with some pest control. I'm going to try a little spinach and try to get some baby spinach to freeze. A couple different kinds of lettuces, Bibb, a couple kinds of romaine, Freckles romaine. I like it because it's got some different colors. Everything's going everywhere. More traditional romaine, and then a couple root vegetables, golden beets and parsnips. These won't be ready till late fall, and that's okay because that's about the time I would want to do something like a roasted root vegetable as part of my meal. So give me a second to get set up and we'll start planting these. Right, I am at the planting stage. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to do the Danvers carrots, a couple rows here. Then I'm going to mix in, I can't remember, I think this is going to be beets. And then I've already planted a little bit of dill here, plus a couple other spots just randomly. And then here I've already planted the coral carrot variety. Then I'm going to do some parsnip right here, and then a couple more of the Danvers Hopalong carrots. And basically, to plant any of these, you just make yourself a little shallow trench, which that's been done. And then carrot seeds are very small, and so typically what happens is you end up overplanting because sometimes the germination can be a little spotty. And then you go back through once they start to grow and you do what's called thin, which is essentially you tear out some of the, or snip off some of the plants so that the spacing will be better to allow the carrots to grow to the size that you want them to, and they're not too crowded. So essentially we're just going to, in this little shallow trench, I already put just a little bit of fertilizer down. I used a very mild organic fertilizer from M.I. Gardner and called Trifecta. Sometimes I also use, usually I will use a similar kind of idea from Espoma called Biotone Plus Starter Fertilizer. But essentially we're just going to sprinkle these in this trench, and then later on we will thin. So I'm just going to drop them in the trench. You can see nothing too elaborate. Oop, got a big clump right there. Okay, and then we're going to do another row right here. I'm just sprinkling these, and then I want to come down here. I still got some in my hand. I think I can do another row. I'm going to need to get some more. It's a little easier when I'm not trying to hold my phone. But anyways, that's the process. You're just going to sprinkle those in there. Same thing with the beet and parsnip seeds. They're a little bit bigger, so it's easier to place them. And then we'll kind of cover up these little trenches. We'll kind of bring the soil back together, give it a little pat down, and then we'll want to keep this well watered We don't want it to dry out. Some people will actually put a board over top. I have done that before. I have these that fit inside my garden. I don't know, I might do that. I have not found that it makes a huge difference. Oh, that won't fit. So we're not doing that. I don't know if it makes a big enough difference to do that or not. I have done it sometimes, but not always, and I usually still get pretty good germination. So, but anyways, that is the process. And then over here, we're going to do a similar idea with our lettuces and green beans. I'll probably do the green beans down the center, and then for the lettuces, I'm going to try what's called succession planting, meaning I'm going to plant just a little bit of lettuce now, and then in a couple weeks I'll come back. If those have germinated and are making progress, then I will plant a couple more so that I have lettuce that is getting ready every few weeks as opposed to all at once and there being way too much for me to eat. Okay, so for the parsnips, P.S. let me show you what they look like. So the parsnip seeds you can see are quite a bit bigger than what the carrot seeds were, so I'm able to space those a little better. And same thing, put them in the trench, cover up the trench. Tap it down. Okay, that's the parsnips. And then the beets, you can see also quite a bit bigger seed than what the carrot seeds were, so I can space those out a lot easier. Again, put them in the trench and then cover it up. And there you go. And then we'll water this in. I'll get my hose in a minute, and I'll just give this a real good spray, gentle spray with some with the hose, making sure it's very gentle, otherwise it could disturb the soil and move those seeds around from where we placed them, and then we just keep it damp. So that's it. Getting some fall things in the garden, cleaning also some things that were ready to be harvested. Thanks for joining me here in Aunt Susan's garden.